Hello, everyone, and welcome. It is June 14th, 2021. I'm your co-host, the Fat Wizard, joined today by...
Alamaxia.
And Lobos.
And today, we're taking a look at GoldenEye on the N64, and this was released in North America August 25th, 1997. We kind of left folks on a cliffhanger last episode. We said, hey, is GoldenEye still a good game? Lobos coming at it with a verdict. What do you think?
Is it still a good game? Yes, absolutely. Is it easy? Not as much.
It's really hard. It's really hard.
It's pretty tough.
It is.
Oh.
Is the N64 controller still as awesome as it used to be?
No.
I mean, the controls for the game, it's all right. It's weird.
It's a first-person shooter.
Weird.
Before games really on the console learned how to do first-person shooter controls. I mean, granted, they had one analog control, the N64, but it wasn't really until I think Halo where they really nailed the dual analog sticks in the shooting. So the controls are really weird in this game. Alamaxia, do you want to walk us through how you actually kind of move around and shoot with the N64 abomination?
So the way the default controls work in it is your control stick will move you forward and back and turn you left, right. So if you want to strafe, you have to use the C buttons on the controller, left and right to strafe left and right. To look up and down, use the up and down C buttons. To shoot, you actually pull the trigger on the back of your left hand where you hold the control stick. Which was really, really fun because it kind of felt like in this game you're actually pulling the trigger for a gun. And the L and R buttons, the R button will help you aim. You give a little targeting reticle. You can aim.
Help you aim.
Aim a little off to the center or off center if you want. But the auto aim of the game does, I'd say, a fairly decent job of making sure it lines things up. The control scheme I played with, though, shifted the hands all the way to the other side. So I had my right hand on the joystick and my left hand where the D-pad is, and I was using the D-pad to go forward, back, and strafe, and the right stick to do all my looking. So it really felt like a more of a modern FPS. It still was hard as hell to control.
It was. Hey, so let's jump right in here. This, again, GoldenEye, being straight from the movie, is one of those rare games that actually was a really great tie-in with the movie. I think back in the day, and actually for quite a while, you associated movie games with kind of just trash. But GoldenEye was one of those weird games that was just like, wow, this actually really worked. And it almost shouldn't have, because, as interviews with the developers basically said, Rare had no idea what they were doing. They were making 3D platformers. This is the first first-person shooter they had. So, man, props to them for pulling this out here, and it's a lot of fun. But let's start a little bit about how this game opens. It's basically the cold open, where you see in GoldenEye, you're walking on the dam, and you've got this infiltration mission that you need to do. Lobos, do you know the objectives of the dam mission?
At least for Secret Agent. So the cool thing about GoldenEye is there are 3 difficulties: Agent, Secret Agent, and 00 Agent, and they will actually add objectives depending on the difficulty.
And also, really cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. But in addition, those objective things are still there on lower difficulty, so you can still do them, and it's like, try hard. Even though it's easy mode. But for the dam in particular, we got to destroy all of the alarms in the level, and I think just bungee jump off the dam, unless I'm missing it.
I think that's right. And then I think we're actually kind of going into this little area. It's almost like a sewer tunnel, I think you can go into. I don't remember if we go in there into the video. But yeah, I think on the 00 Agent, which is only unlocked once you beat the level in Secret Agent. By the way, the first level of difficulty is just called Agent. So anyway, 00 Agent, I think you have to go you have to plant a tracking bug, I think, on one of the satellite nodes, and then you have to go underground and do something, I think. I don't know, I'm a little fuzzy on that.
Yeah, I did the tracking bug in Secret Agent, because you still have it in your inventory, which the inventory is kind of a neat thing to talk about also, because it's Bond, and he looks at his watch, and you've got your health there, and your shield,
your mission objectives, your controls,
objectives, all of your items that you have. And that was sometimes tricky, especially if you didn't know that you for an objective you had to use an item that was in your inventory, and like the only way you could switch to it was actually in the menu. So it was easy to get lost sometimes.
Now this is the infamous facility level where you climb in. So basically, you go right from the dam, and then you infiltrate the facility. And this is you go through the ducts and you go into the men's bathroom. I feel like this is such an infamous level, and is captured in the movie as well. And it's always you always just like sneak through and you see a guy in one of the toilets and you just shoot him in the head, and that's so satisfying.
And you can shoot off their cap too, which is really fun because the cap is separate from the head in a lot of the models.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so you race out of the bathroom here, and the first thing you can do is go into this door and activate the security door, and that will open up like another section. But interestingly enough, there's two ways you open up this door. The first way, you have to go get a key card, and that takes a long time because you have to track around the level and figure out which guy has the key card. Or the speedrun tactics, you can just make enough noise that the enemies open the door up for you and give you access to that room. And which way did you guys do?
I definitely did the more thorough looking around, checking around. I remember doing the speedrunning strat when I was younger, but for the life of me, I could not remember it.
You just got to fire your gun around. How about you, Lobos? What did you do?
Yeah, I actually did the key card. I wanted to experience as much as I could that was at least relevant to the secret agent difficulty. But there were a lot of times during the playthrough that I was like, there's probably guys behind this door, so I'd just shoot the door and like they would open it or not.
And then,
but a cool thing.
Yeah, very cool. So what we're doing right now is we're talking to a scientist, Dr. Doak, maybe, and he gives you this decoder. He says, hey, you need this decoder to open up the bottling room. I didn't actually figure out how to use this. Did you guys figure out how that works?
I thought you had to do it to open that door. Did you shoot and get people to open it or something?
I might have. Yeah.
So the door that one of the objectives is to a rendezvous with 006 in the bottling room, and in order to open that door, the decoder, you would just open it from your inventory, walk up to the door, and hit Z.
Oh, that's what I was doing wrong. Okay, so we're getting there just a second here. But first you have to go through this little science lab. There's a bunch of little scientists. By the way, don't shoot the scientists. They're just there doing research, right?
Yeah, anytime you see minimize scientist casualties as your one of your objectives, you're just like, oh no. which scientist is going to run into, my line of sight as I'm shooting somebody?
So here we go.
Scientists are like moths. They're attracted to light. If there's an explosion, they're going to run into it.
I show that later on in the video. So here, I don't know how to open this door. So I get the bright idea. I'm like, what if I just shoot at the door? And then I go over here, and there's like a little viewing room, and you can shoot the viewing room, the glass. And the glass doesn't break because it's bulletproof. But sure enough, guards come, and they open the door for me. And I was like, great. I have the key. I couldn't figure out how to use it. But yeah, there we go.
Yeah, it wasn't an objective point, so you're good.
Speedrunning tactic by Fat Wizard. And then we get to the bottling room, which really looks like just like like if they were making beer or something like that. Just a bunch of
big
those
vats,
big vats. And who do we have here? That's Sean Bean, right? Sean Bean, a.k.a. Trevelyan. Alec
man
Trevelyan.
That dies in every movie.
Yeah. And
spoilers.
Ooh. Is it? Okay. Well, so you basically meet him, and what happens is your cover gets blown. By the way, you're supposed to blow up this facility here, and so we just put these remote mines on these tanks, and then blew them up. And then what happens? There's a bunch of guards that come down, and you kind of walk out alone and leave Alec for dead. Again, this stuff parallels the movie really well. Like this is almost and in fact, I actually did this. I had never seen the movie, and I played through this game over and over and over and over. And then when I actually saw the movie, I was like, "Oh my gosh, they took that from the game! That's amazing!"
I didn't know you could walk out the doors right there. I've always taken the conveyor belt out of that room.
That's what he does. In the movie. Yeah,
right. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. All right, who wants to walk us through the next level here, which is called Runway? So you just left the facility, and now you got to escape. Who wants to walk us through this?
Well, Runway is a super notable level for me. It's super short if you know what to do, especially. But let's see. You need to get a key to a safe and retrieve blueprints. Is that right?
Something like that.
And yeah, and there's like a little side room that's got the key and I think the safe in it too, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And then it's a runway, so it's like where an airplane would take off, and it's kind of a long like asphalt path, and there's like turrets and enemies, and it can be a real mess. But the notable thing is that you get to jump into a tank, and you have to destroy, I don't know, some sort of like targeting beacon or something like that.
Yeah. It takes a little little hard to drive, as you can see me a little like I'm just going backwards and I'm going forwards. Eventually I get the hang of it, but it's one of these where it takes a little bit to figure out how to actually steer this thing while firing.
Yeah, you can use I think it's the C buttons, and it'll rotate the turret on the tank, but then it misaligns it from moving forward. Like it will keep going in whatever direction it was going, which is cool. But ultimately, I never turn the turret for that reason, to just keep it straight. And then you just hop into a plane after you destroyed the missile battery. That's what it is. And then you take off.
And people that have watched the movie remember that the plane actually drives off the cliff, and then James Bond has to like jump, fly down, free fall into the ship, and then pull it up. But unfortunately, no skydiving sequence in GoldenEye. Now, interestingly enough, in terms of the lore of the story here, we're still in the past. So this is like that was like a couple years ago, and now we're on mission number 4, which is also some time ago. I didn't quite catch how long ago it was, but we're still not in the present. And we're in, does anyone remember what level this is?
This is the surface. The first time we come across the surface.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
I think we need to disrupt the communications array. Is that right here? I think that's what we're doing, because there's a big satellite dish, and I think I just go in here and blow this thing up.
Yeah, and there's also some plans we have to get out of a safe. That's a pretty common theme in a lot of these. A lot of these levels is find an item or two that is behind some kind of lock and key and blow something up. Yeah.
Well, kind of contrary to the other levels, this one is is very, I wouldn't say non-linear, because there's still, you have to go to A to B. Actually, no, you can kind of complete some of the objectives in various orders. And there's not a lot of direction. It's just really this big open snow field with a couple little houses nearby. And you kind of have to figure out where you need to go. Did either of you guys have any difficulties locating your objectives here?
Yeah, so it can be tricky, definitely. Like, especially back in the day, like when you're N64 is like the cream of the crop of consoles at the time. Like, this area seemed huge, like in my mind, like, oh my gosh,
you can go anywhere.
And of course now you play it. There's like 5 major destinations in a big circular area or something, and you're like, but yeah, like you do. I think you have to get that key, like in a particular building before you go find the safe.
You have to kill like an officer who drops the key, and then you got to go get the safe.
And then you enter the satellite and power that down, and then you escape.
And then you have to go into like this like exhaust vent, and there's like 4 little locks on there. Which, by the way, we forgot to mention that in the dam area, you actually get to a chain link fence just completely shut off, and there you see like a little chain, a padlock there, and you're like, what if I shoot that thing? And sure enough, it falls off. And I think that's so cool. Right, it's the beginning of those like little elements in the area in the world you can shoot, and so the same thing is here. You have to shoot those 4 little padlocks to jump down into the bunker level. Alamaxia, take me through the bunker.
Oh, the bunker. With this one, you start out kind of in this silo, and you're going through. You have to disable all alarms, and one of the first things the guards like to do is set off the alarm.
Jerks! Why would they do that?
So one thing I like to do is not destroy that first alarm, but leave that there as a way to turn the alarm back off if someone trips the alarm. So you can run back in there, hit B, boop, turn the alarm back off, and it stops the guards from spawning on you.
That's interesting. I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, so you go through, you kill the guards, and you have to eventually make your way into this large control room and make a copy of the GoldenEye key. And I'm not sure if they really tell you much yet what GoldenEye is at this point.
Yeah.
But all you know is you got to get this key, and it looks like a CD case, really, that you got to apparently make a copy of, and you toss it on the ground and get out of there. But in here, you meet one of the notable characters, Boris. And
what's his catch line?
I'm invincible.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's his line.
By the way, he's totally not invincible.
No, he's not.
You
can just no. Yeah.
Jeez.
No,
okay,
he's the programmer behind all of this and kind of the gatekeeper of everything. In the movie, he's really well known for creating passwords and giving those passwords to people through riddles.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'd forgotten about that, but all right. So yeah, what we're doing right now is we're kind of going through an inventory, and you can kind of see like you got a whole bunch of different items there. And you got to figure out, once I picked up that GoldenEye key, I think there's like an item called the key analyzer, and you just select that. It says GoldenEye key created or duplicate, whatever, and then you can throw out the original. And I kind of, when you think about it, you're like, all right, well, what's the purpose of creating a key, a duplicate key, and then throwing away the original? It's like, oh, obviously you're a secret agent, so you don't want anyone to know you were there. All right, and then after that, you have the missile silo or missile. Yeah, I guess it's a missile silo facility. And again, 2 years ago, so we're still in the past here. And then I guess what's happening here. So first of all, there's this really cool flyby where you see the Russian missile where you actually start. And I think you're actually like throughout the level, you're traversing up this facility to get like near the top. But in any case, you have 7 minutes and 30 seconds. That's probably less time if you're on a more difficult level. Again, we played everything on Secret Agent, which is the second level here. And then there's a bunch of things you guys need to do here. Do you guys remember like what the objectives are?
I remember we had to collect a bunch of circuit boards, a bunch of key cards, and some of them were really hard to find.
Yeah, because, so interestingly enough on this game, and kind of a speedrunner's nightmare, is sometimes they will be randomized. So they'll have a couple different locations. So, like, sometimes one of the circuit boards will be over here on this playthrough, whereas over here on this one. So there's a little bit of randomization there. And that kind of compounds to why it's difficult, because, like, you'll go through a level and you'll collect a bunch of stuff and then die, and then you'll get to the same spot and not have all that stuff again. You're like, what the heck?
Yeah, and so they have these kind of this repeating pattern where there's this room with like computers and stuff in it, and then a stairs up, and then a locked door, and you always have to find a key card in that room in order to get through that locked door. And a lot of times, like the scientists, if you walk up to them, they'll hold their hands up and surrender, but then a key card will fly out, and if they happen to die from crossfire, maybe they drop the key card. But
happen to die during crossfire.
Well, hey, I will say I minimized scientist casualties very well on the entire playthrough, and I was very proud of that. So I'll take. But in addition to that, we have to photograph a satellite, which I was very close to not like. I did get this on first try, but it was 20 seconds left, and chat was like, "Go back! The satellite was back there," and I'm like, "No,
blue flappy thing."
Yeah, luckily it's really close to the end, so yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Is like, it's like, all right, cool. I know what a satellite looks like. Do I? And then you're like, all right, this kind of looks like a satellite. Oh, that's not the satellite.
Yeah. But yeah. This one was really tight for me on health towards the end. Like, they do have some body armor throughout, but right before the end, you run into this character, this General Oramov. And he's there shooting at you, and he's like, "Get everybody fire!" And there's a bunch of other guys shooting at you, and you have to kind of push through them to get to the final section. But at that point, I was really almost out of health, but made it through. It's
it's they do this a couple times where at the end of the level you have to wait for an elevator to open, and there's guys that are shooting you, and it's like, oh, go open it faster. Yeah,
I did like the elevator music though. How it was like a slight little remix of the GoldenEye theme.
Oh yes. So to touch on the music, because that's a big part of this game. A lot of the tracks are their own kind of revamps of the like Bond theme, you know. Da, na, na, na. that whole thing, and they do a really good job with the music. It's fantastic.
It's one of those you can certainly listen to outside of the game and still really enjoy it.
Totally.
All right, now Lobos, I did watch you play through the frigate here, which had you freeing some hostages.
Yes.
So why don't you give us the walkthrough here?
Well, you arrive on this kind of large frigate, and you're on a little speedboat, and so you board it. I don't know. I guess it stopped, and you just get to hop on, no problem. But there's a bunch of hostages, and you'll kind of explore the boat and open a door, and you'll see like a dude pointing a gun at a green
Can I just interject and
clothed
say
hostage.
that hostages here don't really have a good sense of,
They
of
don't
life preservation?
No, they don't.
I
No,
just
they don't.
rescued one, and he like ran around in the middle of a gunfire, and then I actually shot him. He just like falls over.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah.
"Ew, that wasn't my fault."
They tend to stand next to computers that the enemy is shooting at or that you're shooting at. They're like, oh, that's fine. And then they explodes, of course, killing them as well. Luckily, there's a little bit of leeway. Like you can let like maybe 2 or 3 die and without failing, but too many and that's it. But if you kill their captor, then it'll say hostage release, and they'll start to run, and they eventually run off somewhere else and kind of fade out, and then you saved them, then you're good.
Yeah, they have to path find their way out there, and sometimes they kind of get stuck on obstacles, and you have to kind of move them along, coax them along. And then I love this because one of the objectives, you have to plant a tracking device on this helicopter, and you get 1 tracking bug. And if you miss it, that's it. You fail the mission.
Yep, that's it. Try again.
Don't think about picking up that thing and just kind of scooting it on up the helicopter. It's like, nope. So
well, it's like it's an adhesive, so if you stick it to something and then you pull it off, there goes all that glue, man. So I mean, I don't know what that.
Yeah,
I remember that being a speedrunner's nightmare because you try to throw it from far away.
I walked up to it and I tried to carefully place it just right on the edge of the helicopter, and I yeeted it off to the ocean.
Oh man.
Nice.
Yeah, the other objective here is to defuse some bombs, and I had a problem here where we're seeing here, this is a big boiler room, and there's kind of catwalks on top. There's a computer with a bomb attached to it, and I aggroed guys from below who I guess threw a grenade or destroyed something below, which destroyed the computer that had the bomb on it above, and that destroyed the bomb, and I couldn't defuse it, and so I couldn't complete that objective, even though the bomb was, quote, taken care of, It's,
well, that's
whatever.
The interesting thing about this game is when you fail an objective, it's just like, hey, you failed the objective. It doesn't stop the mission. You can keep going and exploring and whatever. And some, often, by the way, those are not optional. It's like you must do all of these things. It's not like you have primary and secondary objectives. They're all your primary objectives.
At least if you want to unlock the next level. You can complete the level and not do the objectives, and then it'll just say at the end, failed. And you're like, well, dang it.
And I like how when you fail objectives, sometimes it'll affect the dialogue of what's going on around you. So the developers really did think about what are the different ways the player could fail these objectives, and what are the different ways we can poke fun at them.
Yeah. And now we're back to the Winter
Surface
Wonderland
again.
here. The surface, yeah. And I can just kind of have the footage sped up a little bit here just so you can get a more sense of the actual playthrough. Yeah, so I think this one, you have to go kill this guy for a key. He's got like it looks like a general. He's dual-wielding Uzis, though.
Yeah.
And you have to go over here and pick up a comms room key. This is also the place where there's a helicopter. You have to blow up this helicopter. I don't know if it's the same helicopter that you planted a tracking device on. I think maybe it is. Maybe that's how you found this area. Yeah, now that I'm talking out loud, yeah, maybe that's why we did this.
Yeah, you know what? Even if it's not, that's a better idea. So take that, movie writers.
Rewriting the script over here.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. So
but these are familiar locations. It seems like the thing that you disabled before in the first time you were here. Well, they moved it. They put something else there. Yeah. They're like, you know what? That's
destroy that too. Whatever.
Yeah.
And then you're breaking, or so you think, you're breaking into the bunker for the second time, but you find out they were kind of waiting for you. You get captured.
It was a trap.
Yeah.
Also, in the surface, I think you find it the first time in the surface. We didn't talk about the guns really much yet, but you get a gun called the Klob, which is
Yeah.
a reference to one of the developers, Ken Lobb.
Yeah.
Ken Lobb.
Yeah.
The gun.
By
I
the
hate
way,
that gun.
now that we're talking about developers, a lot of the enemies have are the developers themselves. So
Yeah,
they
this
just
was
stuck
the
their face
age
on there.
where they really started to like basically take a picture of a face and slap it as a texture onto a polygon and geometrical shape, and
Some of
there's
them
your
are really
shape.
ugly.
Well, that was the most
this-
realistic graphics we're ever gonna get.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I mean, that's actually a face. Like, yeah.
Hey, so now that we broke out of the bunker. By the way, you pull the old switcheroo on the person that has the gel keys. You have a magnetic watch because you're Bond.
Oh,
why
yeah.
not? And you pull in that magnetic. The key is on the wall, so you pull out your magnetic watch. Brings you the key. Interestingly enough, off to the right side of your cell is like this little storm drain, if you will, and there's some throwing knives that have been, I think, positioned specifically for you. I'm guessing
to
that
use
someone
the watch.
put them there. Yeah. Now this mission, I got upset because I watched you run and gun through this entire thing, Lobos. I could not do that. Too many guys are spawning, so I had to kill everyone silently in here.
Oh, well, I mean, in these stages, to my knowledge, I'm always very careful because if you set the alarm off, then you will have the stronger enemies that will infinitely spawn, and that is terrible.
That's
So as long as you prevent them from setting alarms off, it's not as bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I use this strategy a lot where I will get to a new room, I see enemies, I'll make noise, and then I'll backtrack, open the door, and just hide around the corner and wait for them to come around the corner and file in
Works
one by
every
one.
time.
It was pretty easy.
Yeah, it
to
works pretty well.
cheese the AI doing that.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
that
like
was so helpful later on.
Yeah.
to kill him with my fist, what you would do is you'd let him fire. So you'd hide behind something, let him fire, and then you would run straight at him. But then you'd like circle straight around him and chop him in the back. They
That's
never
right. I
would hit
forgot
you.
they took extra damage from the back with fists, and that was really
give 'em
good.
The old chop in the back there. Yeah, and so what we did is we went to this little server room, and by the way, all your goods are locked up in a safe, and so you're like, great, I'm gonna go get that back. You go into the room with the safe, you kill a guy. Guess what you get? You get a safe key. You're like, oh man, this is gonna be easy, right? Open the safe. Oh, it's locked. Well, how is it locked? Because I got a safe key. Oh, that's the wrong safe key. You need safe
It's a
key
different
number
safe
2.
key.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. So anyway, you go to the server room, kill the guy that has your safe key, and now you have your silenced PP7. Is that what it is?
Yep, PP7.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
then
I
now
actually,
you can shoot now you can shoot the cameras because you have to kill all the cameras, and since it's silenced, guards won't come.
Right. Which I didn't even get my old equipment back. I didn't even.
Oh no!
No, it was fine because of my tactics. Like the way the game works is, no matter what you have at the end of the level, they'll start you with a specific gun kit at the start of the next level. So it wasn't really an important thing for me to like go back and get all my guns or whatever. Although that does seem helpful, at least for stealthing.
Yeah.
But with my tactics, I was purposefully being loud, and usually I stick to whatever ammo all the enemies are dropping, because otherwise you might run out. And so, yeah, I just never did that.
Here I perfectly line a I perfectly line a knife and knock his head off. I'm like, no.
And it didn't even alert him. He's like, oh, it's
didn't
something
even alert him.
chilly in here.
Yeah, that was my favorite. Like in the facility level earlier, I'd always shoot the guy's hat off when you're breaking in through the
bathroom?
vents.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he'd never notice. He'd just sit there and his hat flies off. It's so good.
He's deep in concentration. All right, so
That's right.
Here's the tactic for this here, and it's sort of Bond's not a super good guy, but whatever. You break out of jail, and by the way, you meet your cellmate Natalya.
The worst character in the game.
Yeah,
the worst.
well,
she's the worst.
Until you give her a handgun.
We'll talk about that, but let's get her out of prison first. She really wants to be stuck in her cell here, but everyone knows that a gentleman leaves the lady in the cell first,
Right,
and then
right.
go kills all the enemies, and
All
then
of them.
and then you like, oh yeah, do you want to get out of here together? Because if you don't, she's just gonna be running all around the facility, soaking up bullets and getting herself killed. And if she
Yeah.
dies, you lose. So I always find it a little weird. I'm like, Bond, are you really that good of a guy here? But yeah, anyway, that's what you do. Don't let Natalya out of that cell until you've killed and secured the
Well, and the
area.
best part is after you've cleared the entire facility, you go back, and if you like walk up to her from your cell, you'll have the beginning conversation, and you'll be like, oh, I see we're both in jail together,
Yeah.
and she's just like, yep, she does the whole thing. But yeah,
A little bit of a change of pace now here, and actually, it's kind of worth noting is I think 007 GoldenEye does a pretty good job on switching up different things to do. It's not, I mean, there's a lot of running and gunning, but that was kind of a stealth mission. We have missions with tanks. And this one is a little bit of a scavenger hunt, right? Alamaxia, we're in the, I guess it's the Russian Art Museum, or
We're
I
in
don't
the
know what.
statue
It's
park in
St.
St.
Petersburg?
Petersburg.
Yeah.
Yep.
Alamaxia, do you want to walk us through what this level's all about?
This level is a veritable maze, and I think the entire level is designed like in a big S shape. But you go down, you start out at the top of a hill, and there's a gate behind you that if you just walk out of it, you're going to fail the mission. But if you continue down the hill, you'll fight some enemies along the way, and there's a whole bunch of just old Soviet era, just statues, propaganda laying around in various broken states. And you have to
Honestly,
make
it
your
looks
way
like a
through
junkyard.
here. Yeah, it's just a big statue
it kind of
junkyard.
does look like a junkyard. Yeah.
You have to make your way, and you have to meet up with Valentin, who is your contact, kind of like a guy on the inside, and he's helping you kind of make your way into everything. But after you meet him, you have to make your way back out of the level, and we're going to be attacked the entire way.
Yeah. Well, the reason we're here is we want to meet Giannis.
Oh yeah, Giannis, right?
I don't remember why, but people have indicated that Giannis is some sort of leader, and we have to meet him.
Right,
Um,
yeah.
But Giannis
And it
turns out to
turns
be
out-
someone we know.
Someone who we think is
Who could
dead.
it be?
Oh no! Well, we're waiting for him to say.
Oh yeah,
it.
and by the way, so you go behind the statue. He tells you to put the gun away. I think if you keep the gun out, they all start firing on you, right?
Yep, they will, and you get objective failed.
Yeah, but you find out that it's Alec Trevelyan is Giannis 006, back from the dead. I love this line. Bond is like, "But why, Alec? I trusted you." It's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then I guess you pretty much just run away from this all.
Yeah,
they'll
at that
start
point-
firing on you.
Yeah, they talk about how they set, I think, a bomb on the chopper, and Natalya is like tied up there, and you have to go rescue her, and so they start a time limit.
Oh
I
yeah,
think,
like 3
and-
minutes before the helicopter explodes, killing her in it or with it.
And then they start infinite spawning these enemies that have automatic shotguns, which I love the sound on, by the way. I love the sound
yeah.
design in this game. Like, some of it absolutely does not sound realistic, but it sounds awesome. Like,
Yeah, well, the gun you get here, I was it a PCS or something like that? Anyway, it's super chunky. It's like doom, doom, doom. And
Yeah.
It's the first time you get an unsilenced one, and it feels so good. Like the bass on that thing really kicks.
yeah. Oh, that's what it is. You go to rescue Natalya, and they set off some sort of
By the way,
proximity.
I got 5 seconds where it
explosion.
blows off, and Natalia's just kind of like casually walking down the Sunday Drive here as the helicopter is about ready to explode. But yeah, she made it. And this is another one of those situations where I was talking about there's a random element to it is when the helicopter explodes, you have to go find the black box, and the black box gets thrown some random place in the... No, I think it's called the flight recorder.
Yeah, the flight recorder.
So you have to kind of backtrack a little bit in the museum, the statue park here to find that flight recorder. And I do remember trying to speed run through this game. Sometimes you get unlucky and it's kind of far away.
Yeah.
And I thought I heard that sometimes it can actually be thrown or spawned outside of the level.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
Yeah, that's a rough deal. I want to talk real quick about why people would want to speedrun this outside of, hey, speedrunning is fun. They actually have cheats that are unlocked. Who wants to go through the purpose of going through each level fast or quickly?
Go ahead, Lobos.
Sure, yeah. It was really good because they give you these incentives, and they were tough back in they're tough, period, to beat certain levels on specific difficulties, and you could unlock toggleable cheat codes for multiplayer, but also for the single player experience to make things more fun, to make things easier, or whatever. Probably the one that you would always get is
paintball
runway on agent under 5 minutes. The objective is very simple. It's a super short level, and if you do that, then you unlock DK mode, which makes everybody's head huge.
Oh, cool.
So that was one that it was really easy to get, and one that I would always try to get was paintball mode,
that one's
which
fun.
requires the first level on secret agent in less than 2 minutes and 40 seconds, which these are really tight times that I remember grinding for some of them back in the day a lot. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I remember spending weekends trying to grind out some of these levels, and but it's very satisfying when you nail down. You're like, all right, and you start to understand because some of the missions have requirements for talking to an NPC.
Yep.
And they get very angry if you walk too far away. And so a lot of it is like, all right, how far can I move away but keep this conversation active? Super fun.
Yep.
So after you finish up that mission, you save Natalya from the exploding helicopter, but you get captured again.
Mm-hmm.
And this is cool. You get captured by, I don't remember who it is.
Mishkin, I think.
Mishkin, yeah. So he's a Russian operative, I believe. And they think that you have stolen the GoldenEye. And I think this is cool because it's actually Oramov, one of the Russian generals, stole the GoldenEye. And so you're being interrogated here. And actually, I think they'll come in and I think they actually try to kill you.
Yeah, if you wait, they come in and then they start talking about I don't remember if they mentioned where Natalya is, but they'll eventually just start shooting at you and they'll just say, "Take him out."
Alternatively, your gun for whatever reason is lying right in front of you with a magazine right next to it, and if you pick it up, they're like, "Hey, put down the gun, man, or we're going to start shooting." But you could just go behind him and karate chop him. So a couple different ways to kind of get out of here, but
nice.
So this archives here is it's a facility where there's a bunch of books and file cabinets and stuff like this. I remember this mostly from the multiplayer. Like I feel like I would play this level all day on multiplayer with friends there. And then while we're kind of going through this level, which is largely a straight line or a boxy looking area, Alamaxia, do you want to walk us through some of the multiplayer action and goodness that you might have got up to when you had like 4 people?
This was a level that has just a lot of great interconnecting corridors and a lot of ways that you can flank around the guy that you're trying to take down. One of the things I remember most about this level personally is I would always play lasers with my friends because there's a lot of metal doors and lasers could shoot through doors. So you would always we would always shoot through a door a good handful of times before we walked through, and there is sometimes we could pick each other off on the other side.
I like proximity mines on this level because there's a lot of glass, so you could see people. You kind of bait them into attacking you. All right, so we got to kind of a milestone here. I find this funny because Mishkel, is that his name, Mishkel?
Mishkin.
Mishkin. He's gonna let us go, but his buddy behind him was adamant about firing. So Mishkin was basically walking towards us, saying like, "Hey, you're not the traitor. You're free to go." But the guy directly behind him, he was like full on gunning us with the AK-47. I just find that a little humorous there.
Yeah, well, Oramov gave the gave the order, so he's got to follow it no matter what. He's like, I don't know what this Mishkin guy's doing. I'm taking them out.
And then the door, so this is often what will happen. You're having an intense conversation with someone, and the door shuts on your face in between you. Also will happen all the time when you're shooting enemies, right? You're trying to line up that perfect shot, especially some of the later levels. You're kind of peeking out of the door, trying to shoot an automated turret, and the door just shuts on you, and you're like, oh.
They're trying to desperately reload, and all you can do is keep opening and shutting the door in front of you.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's right, because the interact button is the same button as reload.
Yeah, and this was a game that I feel like you had to reload very often because if you had to reload in the middle of a firefight, if there were even 2 guys on you, you'd sometimes get stun locked with how much the game would lag. especially whenever we started using the assault rifle later on.
Yeah.
And then, so you rescue Natalya again. By the way, in the movie, she's a lot more capable than she seems in the game. Although she'll have her moment in the jungle level here. And then you have to escape with her. And I thought this was really interesting. It doesn't really tell you how to escape, but you have to shoot out a window and then just kind of jump out the window. And these are the types of things where you're like, man, how would you have figured this out other than just pure luck?
Yeah, you can clear out the whole level and just be like, where is this exit? I don't know where. But yeah.
I feel like watching the movie helps you play this game because the game follows the movie so closely and so well.
Yeah, because that's how they escape. But I think that they escape from a second floor. I think they actually jump out. You have to be on the first floor, I think, to jump out of these. Yeah,
this is now we're on the infamous Streets level. Yeah, but if you haven't seen it,
can I just
Streets
say
112.
Natalya got captured again. I just want to point that out.
Oh, Natalya got captured again. Well, yeah, I mean, it's a Bond movie. You got to save the girl. So, but we're on the Streets 112. I mean, the Streets level. Which, if you don't know what Streets 112 is, I suggest you YouTube it. It involves speedrunning, and it's probably the most inspiring video I've ever seen. So. Just aside for that. But here we have to meet up with Valentine again. We have to kind of get some info from him. And there you have a time limit to find Valentine and get the info from him before you move on. Ultimately, just making your way through the streets. And this level, this one's a tough one sometimes. It turned out after doing it several times, the enemies are kind of RNG dependent on whether or not they have rocket launchers. It seemed like there were two iterations of it, like where the guys with rocket launchers would spawn. But you can grab a tank and run through. There's areas with mines where if you run with the tank, you'll cause explosions, and it's just a mess.
So the way I wasn't sure if it was RNG, but I noticed that if I was not in a tank, they would not shoot rocket launchers at me.
Oh,
so
that's
at these big roadblocks. What I would do. Well, not this one right here, but on this one, you can see there's a roadblock coming up. I park my tank, and I go out, and I just go kill all the guys that are sitting there. In this area right here, the second roadblock, they're usually sitting there with a bunch of rockets, and they have a clear line on you, and often I would just die. And so you go out there, shoot everyone, and then pick up your tank again. It's kind of handy.
That's cool. Huh. Yeah, I didn't know that. And then you'll see these areas at these intersections where there's a bunch of little like blue. It look like manholes basically on the ground, but they're mines. And if you run over them with the tank, they'll blow up. And you can blow them up with like the tank's turret or grenades or whatever.
Or you can just run by them and not have to deal with it.
You can also just run through them with the tank, and they deal some damage, but it's not so bad. I was just trying to go through this level really fast. I don't know why. Yeah. So I would just barrel in through as quickly as I could. Well, Safe is definitely a better play, though.
I ended up, my tank was almost dead, and I'm just like, I'm just going to run to the end of the level, and you can do it. I don't think you need the tank. You don't need to use the tank. No. It's just, some of the enemies are a little tough there, but... Yeah, and then after that, we go into the train depot. Again, this is another one of those where you have to find a safe key, and then you use the safe key. So this one's a little tricky because there's a bunch of different hangars, and it's not always clear exactly where you need to go. I will say, though, on this level, there's a ton of body armor laying around. I think I counted 3 body armors. And actually, now that we're talking about body armor... Alamaxia, do you want to walk us through how health and body armor work in the game?
So you have whenever you get hit, you'll see these 2 meters pop up on your screen. Meter on the left is going to be orange, and meter on the right is blue. The orange is your health, blue is your armor. And much like any first-person shooter, if you have the armor, it's going to try to whittle through that first. But I think in this game, I honestly couldn't tell you. Whenever you have armor on and you get hit, does it also chunk a little health away?
It's 100%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. 100% block. Yeah.
Now there's no med packs or anything like that, so your armor is basically your health that you can get. So that is very valuable. Finding the spots where that armor is often this what will allow you to finish the level alive.
Yeah. You just went through a hangar and found like a bunch of stuff and a rocket launch. I didn't even get into that hangar.
That was a. Yeah,
you know what? I didn't even use the rocket launcher this whole game, and I love that rocket launcher. The sound is so really iconic.
Great. Yeah.
It looks like, I don't know, I always thought this, it looks so weird, but I thought it was like a...
It's got a little plastic thing on the front of it, it looks like.
Yeah, I don't even, it looks like a toy. But it's great. And it goes, and then the explosion's always so satisfying.
Well, so one of the objectives here is you have to blow up this command center, I believe, and in the command center, there's this automated turret. And those things are really hard to shoot because they have a very, very precise accuracy. They will rip you up if you stand. So what you have to do is try to like peek out of the corner such that it can't see you, but you can kind of see like the little mount that it's mounted on, and then try to shoot it off. Or you can just use a rocket launcher to blow out sky high. Yeah. And I found an ammo dump, and I just ended up using the rocket launcher. And then after that, you just have to go into the train here. And by the way, there's a couple guards that are there, but if you just walk on the train, James Bond will do the dirty work of killing the guards for you. You don't actually have to kill the guards there. You just hurry up and get on that train.
That's another example of how I think the devs did a fun job of writing these different little Easter eggs in the game. So you could kill both of those guards, walk on, he just, walks on. But if you leave him alive, it'll show us this fun extra cutscene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man. We are chugging along here. We're on the train level, and what do we got to do here? We got to stop the train, right? How do we stop a train?
You take out the brake boxes. I mean, I don't know how you actually stop a train, but there's these boxes that are some sort of controls that you have to find all of them and destroy them. And when you do that, the train will start slamming on its brakes, and I mean that's a bit further in the level.
Yeah.
The beginning to this level is just brutal, though. There's so many guys hiding behind boxes, and
all the blocks. They will always blow up. Even the wooden boxes, if you shoot them, they will blow up and hurt you. But also hurt
even chairs in this game will blow up. Desks, everything. It's great.
See, with the boxes, of course. I always just headcanon and was like, oh, they're all full of ammo because it's illegal weapons.
Yeah.
But when a chair blows up,
that was it's their. If they have the bad guy and they need to sit him down, and kill him in a way he doesn't expect, there you go. You got an explosive chair. You just trigger it from a distance. Boom.
Now, as you're going through the train, I think the train is pretty well realized because it does have sort of like these passenger cars that you'd think seeing a trolley that serves food wouldn't be out of the question here. And so you go through all these little train carts, and you get to the very end, and you see Natalya is held up by Ourumov. I think that's the last time we see Ourumov.
Yeah, you kill him there.
Yeah, and Trevelyan and I think Xenia or Xena.
Oh yeah, Xenia.
I think they escape and they shut down. They lock down the train, and they say, "Hey, you got a minute to get out of here," or something like that. And so this is one of the most stressful minutes of the game right here. Is the old laser. Lobos, as a resident speedrunner, walk us through the stress levels you're feeling trying to get out of here and what you're trying to do.
Yeah, well, I personally found that level to be really brutal. So when you finally get there, you have a minute, and you got, with their aiming system, I don't know.
So
N64 joysticks are the most sensitive things ever. So if you're trying to aim precisely, the reticle's just going everywhere around where you want to aim, and so you have to pull out this watch laser, and you're trying to aim at all these little rivets holding this kind of escape hatch. Yeah. And
there's probably
just
maybe I'd say 25 to 30, and you have to shoot all of them around in a square.
Yeah.
And the ones in the particular in the corner sometimes a little hard to get because they are. The perspective makes them smaller targets to hit.
And one thing that me and my friends found difficult was every time we tried to go up and use that laser, our Bond would just keep crouching down, which would throw our aim off. And then we'd be like, well, let's adjust that, look up a little bit, and then you'd stand up, and then crouch down and stand up. So it was...
Yeah.
We died to that level twice just on trying to open that stupid floor.
Yeah.
I will say though, it is honestly, I had my heart pounding on that, and it was a super adrenaline rush there, and I definitely felt accomplished after I did it. I was like, nah, this is why I remember the speed running of GoldenEye to be so fun. Is those moments where you're like, I've got 5 seconds, I have to do this last thing. It's a lot of fun. And then so the whole reason we are now in Cuba is while we were trying to open up that escape hatch, Natalya. By the way, if we haven't mentioned, Natalya and Boris are computer programmers. So we mentioned Boris is, but Natalya is also a programmer, and they work together. And so she is trying to track down where, I don't remember, I don't know, she's trying to track down someone, it might be Boris, and notes that he's in Cuba. So now we're in Cuba, and we're going to meet Xenia here, which I guess this is
the only time you really encounter her as a character outside of just shutting a door.
Yeah. But it's a good thing that Natalya now has a gun. That was a mistake, folks. We should have given her a gun early on because...
Yeah, really.
And by the way, in the mission briefings, it's really funny because it says, oh, hey, Natalya's not a trained operative, so you don't expect from much. No, that's not true. She is absolutely like the best crack shot in the world. She's got this Desert Eagle she's just clipping fools with, but... I think she actually killed Xenia for me, which I...
Oh, yeah. I let her just pretty much solo. Like, Xenia comes at you with one of the best games... best guns in the game, the RCP-90, which is just a huge launcher, clip. Right? Yep. She dual wields an RCP-90 and a grenade launcher, and the RCP-90 is just a legendary weapon from this game that is huge clip and insanely fast fire rate that just will melt you so fast. So if you try to shoot at her and you're in range of her, she'll just launch grenades and flurries of those bullets. So it's a bit tough. So I just let Natalya solo her the whole time.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, Natalya, she definitely is the superstar here, which is sort of coincidental that the next mission she is the anti-superstar. She is the worst part, but we'll get to that. But. And so after you kill Xenia, you kind of have to work your way up through, blow up another ammo depot, and make your way up into... I think what you're trying to do is get to the control center to stop the GoldenEye or something like that. Mm-hmm. By the way, we haven't really mentioned what the GoldenEye is. I don't know if the game really explains it, but the movie does.
Yeah.
The GoldenEye is a satellite that can deliver an EMP blast, so... And you know, of course, wrecking all electronics. So we certainly don't want that to happen. So we're trying to disable this satellite.
Now the most fun level in the game.
Oh, someone take me out of my misery. Okay. Oh, also sometimes you just want to take it all out on. You're like, I hate this level.
Oh no!
I'm just gonna kill Natalya.
And you can get her Magnum, I think, right? Oh no, maybe not. I misremembered. I lied.
But sometimes you're just like, just die, Natalya. You're going to die anyway on this mission. Might as well be by my hand. All right. Someone walk me through this level because I hate it.
The opening to this level was brutal. And it's brutal because of the turrets. We talked about the turrets a little bit earlier, but we didn't talk about how incredibly quick the AI is with the turrets and how very little time you have to do anything. So it takes 5 shots from your PP7 to kill a turret. And I would often spend clips upon clips just trying to find the turret. Because as Wiz said earlier, you have to corner snipe them. And there's a lot of turrets in this level. So after the initial opening area here, and we have Natalya hacking a computer to open up a blast door, we are going to continue into the level to look for Boris and try to disable that satellite.
Yeah, and this one was weird. This was a weird interaction because I believe you actually have to be looking at her for her dialogue to activate and unlock the door. Did anyone else notice that?
I think you just need to be in proximity.
Is it?
Because I never really looked at her. Yeah,
it might have been a confirmation bias for me. Okay. Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah, this level had like 3 tough spots. Like the beginning. The second spot for me was when you're walking through that kind of cavernous area and there's guys behind these metal boxes. They're so quick on the draw. As soon as you like pop out into line of sight, they're just immediately firing, and then they like throw grenades and stuff. I liked to get them to grenade themselves though. If you just kind of run past the room, and then they'll chunk a grenade at wherever you're standing, which is current at that point on the other side of the wall. So they just bounce it off the wall and grenade themselves. But then you get past them and you find Boris.
Yeah, which, by the way, I accidentally shot him in the head. And then...
Oopsies. I saw that, I think.
If you do that, because he pulls a gun on you, but then he
does.
drops it. But if you shoot him and kill him, Natalya, when you go to fetch Natalya to hack, she says, hey, I saw what you did. That wasn't nice. And she says something like, I'm going to go back to the elevator when you want to be
when
a
you're
good
done clowning
person.
around.
Stop playing around. Yeah, clowning around. Yeah. Yeah, so Boris, you just have to let him escape. Although he does lead you to a hidden little vent chamber with body armor in it, which is very handy.
Very handy.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and then everybody's favorite thing is protecting a defenseless NPC, Natalya this time.
And she has the audacity while you're getting shot and shooting people. She's like, hey, can you keep it down? I can't hear myself think. I'm like, do you see what's happening here? I can't keep anything down.
Doesn't she say something like that in the movie? I didn't watch the movie. You said you just recently watched it, but I think she says that.
I don't remember that.
It's been too
that
long.
level of detail. Yeah.
Yeah. But the whole time she's typing, she's got the Magnum in her hand, like she could defend herself, but she's like, nah, just leave it to
By the
James.
way, I found because she can die so easily, I found the best thing to do is to actually get in the line of fire. If you see an enemy, get in between you and Natalya because you can take a lot more damage than she can. But once you see, she's like, there, I did it, and you see objective complete, boom, that's how you know, all right, it's time, it's go time. So, by the way, what we've done before this is there are a bunch of like servers, and you got to blow up the servers. The server mainframes. But what you want to do is actually don't blow up those servers immediately. Hold off on that because if you blow up the servers, it blows up the glass around the area, which actually gives the AI more opportunities to shoot Natalya, like more angles. So keep that glass intact, and then once you see Natalya's finished, then you can pop the detonator, blow up the servers, and just kind of waltz out of the room. Not too bad after that. I guess the tricky thing is there is one additional server, so you have to kill all the servers. But the
new cheat.
Yeah. By the way, I did complete this on my first time. I beat it within the target, and this cheat gives you
nice.
It gives you infinite ammo, which is super cool.
Wow, that's a good one.
Yeah. But yeah, like I was saying, one of these servers actually you cannot get to until you complete that objective. I believe it might actually unlock earlier. I think it's a locked door.
Once you start the Natalya event, they come through those doors and they unlock them, and so then you can move into that final section.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And that is super stressful if you don't know where it is. You're like, all right, I completed the mission. Where's this last one that I need to kill? Okay, so we are about 2 levels away from the end of the game here. This one's the caverns. I guess there's nothing really too special about this one. You're just going up what looks to be this almost like strip mine that's covered with water, or it has like water that has accumulated at the bottom. I'm not sure exactly what this area is.
Yeah, it's just caverns.
Yeah,
they give you one of my favorite guns in the game, which is a ZMG. It's a very nice, just kind of submachine gun, and you can get doubles of it, dual wield it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And unfortunately, what you have to do here is you have to blow up these 4 mainframes. I should say unfortunately because the AI is all too stupid.
That was it.
So what you do if you blow up the mainframe, sometimes they will run into the explosion. But I found the trick.
Of course they will.
What you have to do is they'll move around randomly and then stop for like 5 seconds. So you have to wait for them to move, and then once they stop, you're like, okay, now I can blow it up. But if you wait a little too long, sometimes they'll activate their wander AI and then wander right into an exploding mainframe.
Well, what I found to work is if you run up to them with a gun, they'll hold their hands up, and then if you move away from them, then they act as if they're free, and they'll actually start to leave.
Okay.
So they'll leave after that point. But yeah, it's kind of weird. if you don't know what's going on. Now, do you guys know about the Easter egg in this level with the crate?
I watched.
Okay, you watched me do it.
Walk us through that.
Yeah. So in the corner of one of the areas in this, there's a crate that if you destroy, it will spawn a slightly smaller crate, which will then spawn a slightly smaller crate. And you're like, okay, where's this going? And eventually it spawns a computer screen monitor. And if you blow that up, it will drop 2 of the assault rifles, which you can then pick up and dual wield assault rifles, which is I think
that's
the only
my
way you can
favorite.
do that.
My favorite weapon.
Yup.
The assault rifle.
All right, I'm gonna have to go watch your VOD.
Yeah, dude, it's awesome. I was so excited to show everybody too, and they're like, "What?" Yeah.
All right. I'm going to go on a limb here. It might be contentious. We are now on the cradle. I'm saying this is the worst level in the game. It is it's a nightmare. It is laggy.
It's very laggy.
You don't really know what you're supposed to do. You run out of ammo. You have tons of enemies.
Well, it's a final boss fight, so it's like,
Also, it's kind of glitchy. I will show you some of the glitches I ran into.
It's a mess. It's really a mess.
Okay, who wants to walk us through what you do here? Alamaxia, I'm calling you.
All right, so in the cradle, you start out, you pick up some body armor, and our goal here is to absolutely stop the GoldenEye satellite from firing off and to stop Trevelyan. So he is going to send every henchman he has at you. So you start out with a pistol against a guy that usually he'll have dual wielding ZMGs right up the path. So once you're able to muscle through him, you get your ZMGs. It's a lot easier, I think, from there because they have enemies coming at you throughout the whole level. So you have kind of this ongoing ammo supply. But it starts out, you only have 3 minutes to stop the antenna from realigning, and that's pretty easy. It's not too complicated. It's not too complicated, but if you go the wrong way and you don't know what you're doing, or if you don't look behind this one particular generator, you're like, how do I stop this thing? Yeah. But I don't see what buttons to push. Oh, no, just blow it up. Yeah. Don't worry about it. Just blow it up.
Yeah.
But after you blow that up, it is then cat and mouse time. You just have to chase Trevelyan around this entire level while he is firing at you with assault rifle, while you have all these ads that are firing at you with their ZMGs. So
he'll drop grenades also.
Yeah, grenades.
Yeah, they'll throw grenades.
So much going on, and because this level is pretty large and there's a lot being, and there's a lot being shown on the screen at once, there's a lot of lag that happens, and
yeah.
I think I mentioned earlier you get stun locked because of lag. That is a very real thing. I had Trevelyan pop me with his assault rifle, and I could not get another shot off after that because it just was not registering my trigger.
Yeah.
So as you're shooting Trevelyan, he'll spit out these little quotes, little quips at you, and that kind of tells you how far along you are. You can kind of sense like, okay, I'm halfway there based on the things he says. So at the very last thing he'll say is, finish the job, James, if you can. And it's like, all right, great, gotta go. And what he does, he runs to this area. If you've seen the movie, it's like this little section on the cradle.
So
you
like the bottom.
Ideally, you get there before him, and sometimes you'll die getting there. I think, that's the second time I died. So I'm like, okay. All right, so the third time I got him. Finish the job, James, if you can. Great. So I'm running down here. And so what it is there's like this big drop. And it looks like a hole to nowhere, but you're supposed to know you jump down there. Actually, you can see him jump down there. And so we both jumped down there. And guess what? I got stuck inside of him. I was like, are you kidding me?
What the heck?
This is the third time. This is the
never
third time.
seen that.
I am now stuck inside of Trevelyan, and I know you're supposed to shoot him. And so I'm like, okay, can I chop him? Can I shoot him? And then something starts shooting me. I don't know if it's the enemies from above or something.
Yeah, they shoot you
and
from
I'm like,
above.
are you kidding me? So that was a big downer.
Oh no!
And I ended up dying there. So
yeah,
I had a
similar
right?
I had a similar disappointing thing where I got all the way down there. I managed to kill him, and I was like, yeah! And then a guy shot me from above, and the force from it knocked me off. And so then it plays the cutscene where Bond falls off.
All right, so I'm figuring this time, this time I'm going to let him go down first and then try to get down there. For some reason, I had troubles getting down there. All right, so we're going to jump down in there. This time I know he's not at least directly below me, so I'm going to jump down there. Okay, I kind of miss it, but that's fine. And he shoots me off. I'm like, oh, okay. All right, number 5. Again, the key here is if you can get to this area before Trevelyan, you can kind of set up before him. And that's really what you want to do. And by the way, when you run, you can actually kind of abuse the circle strafe. The strafing with the forward. It actually adds the velocity, so you can kind of go like 1.5 faster or 1.5 speed. So I get there before Trevelyan.
Classic FPS
end up
strats.
shooting him. And what's the classic line? What's that line he says?
For England, James.
And then what's Bond
for me.
Yeah.
Now, with Trevelyan there, you can kill him without him going down that ladder.
Oh, really?
Oh, really? Interesting.
Does it show the same scene?
Yeah, so it'll show Bond jumping onto the helicopter. I killed him when he was on the lower path of the cradle running to it. You can keep blapping him in the back, and he'll keep taking damage. And there was some ads coming from the other side, and he just got locked up against them.
He was blocked.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, sometimes that'll happen there.
Nice.
All right. Well, that's GoldenEye. At the very end there, you get to see a little smooching scene with Natalya and James Bond. But we got a cool little credit screen here to thank all of our fabulous Patreon supporters for helping making GoldenEye 007 a great experience to play through and record for everyone here. And we did get one more Patreon supporter. Thank you, Name Brand Shoes, for jumping on the Patreon train, keeping that sub-hype alive. Oh, but we're not done yet. We got a bonus level. Bonus level! So there's actually 2 bonus levels in this game. And we're only going to cover the first one because the second one is a little tricky to get to. You have to beat all the levels on 00 Agent, I believe. Yeah. This one is called Aztec. Did anyone get a chance to play this one?
I didn't play it this time around, but I definitely did it in the past because it's how you unlock the laser weapon.
Yeah, the Moonraker laser, right?
Yeah, the Moonraker, yeah.
Yeah, so this is a classic Bond movie. It was based on the Moonraker movie with Jaws, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're going through this Aztec tomb, and you see these dudes with all these yellow jumpsuits on. And I guess what the objective is, you got to reprogram a spaceship launch or something. I'll be honest, I haven't seen Moonraker. It's on my list of things to do. So maybe one of you two, either of you seen it?
I don't remember anything about it. I remember the Jaws character, and that was about it.
So we're absolutely the perfect people to be talking about what you're supposed to do here. So.
Absolutely.
The tricky thing is here, just the enemies are very relentless in shooting you. A lot of you really have to bait them out, like you were talking about a while ago. Lobos baiting them out is absolutely paramount. I think you try to stand toe to toe, they'll rip you out pretty quickly.
Yeah, they all have assault rifles here, and the assault rifle is a really powerful gun that also has knockback.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And like Alamaxia was saying, you can get stun locked because if you get hit, sometimes it will interrupt your ability to shoot, and you have like a half second where you can't do anything. And sometimes it happens multiple times in a row, and it'll deal a massive chunk of your health, and so it's really nasty.
So there's actually 2 routes through this area. One is very difficult, and it kind of gets you to the boss quicker. But we're going the normal route, which has you going through the exhaust bay of the spaceship. And by the way, if you don't, there's sort of like some grates you're supposed to shoot up and shoot through. And if you don't go through that, the exhaust from the spaceship actually lifting off will kill you, which is kind of interesting. So you're going through, and there's this bay, there's the space shuttle bay, which has tons of these turrets in there, and there's probably like 6 or 7 guys with Moonraker lasers, and they are all gunning for you. It's really tricky. You really have to manipulate the side walls, kind of peek through and shoot the turrets there. So it's not super fun to try to line all this up, but it's one of these where you really begin to memorize the level. And even though you
Yeah.
can't see it, you're like, okay, I know, like, I can see like 3. If you have a grate, you can see like, okay, on the 3rd vertical line or 3rd horizontal line, you can see like a little tiny thing. You shoot it there, and that blows up the turret. But okay, here's a big thing. I want to walk us through the Jaws fight because I think this is hilarious. So Jaws is like a 7-foot man, right? He's got a very long reach with his guns. Which actually works as a detriment because when he shoots, he extends his hands way out. So if you get in real close, you can just kind of hug him and shoot him to death.
I did not know that.
That's great.
If you don't, I don't know how you kill this guy without this because he's very, very powerful.
I think he just goes to that room where all the stairs are, and you just have to circle strafe around.
Yeah,
stairs.
you can circle strafe, but it's super hard. Just get up in his face and shoot him. And he drops a key that allows you to open up the one of these control console areas, which allows you to reprogram the missile or the shuttle. I think you have to like upload the guidance data and then go take that guidance data and reprogram the shuttle. It's not super clear what you're supposed to do, and you kind of have to figure it out by either looking it up or just trying.
One of the frustrating things when you're trying to figure out objectives in these games is like, you have to use an item or interact, like disable something, and you'll go up to a, I did this a couple of times. I went up to a computer console you're supposed to blow up. For example, I think it's the communications one in the Surface 2 level, and I hit B to interact with it. And instead of disabling it like you're supposed to, I called the enemy, and it was like, "Oh, you failed because you alerted the enemy." And I'm like,
That's
"Oh,
right. Yeah, you turn on the computer, right? Yeah.
yeah." They're like, "Who is this? Come in!" What? And then it's like failed. And you're like, "Oh, I was supposed to destroy it." Yeah, either that or you'll have like a one-time use like piece of technology that you just throw, and it's like, "Nope, that wasn't right. Sorry." You're like,
try again next time. So here, the last
man.
objective here is you really just have to you have to close the shuttle bay doors, and you just kind of wait around, and then you get a nice little cutscene, and you see the shuttle fly off. And again, I'm not exactly sure where it is,
or how Bond survives from point blank right there.
Yeah,
but that's okay.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, he's pretty close to the exhaust of that spaceship. There.
He's just watching. He's
fine.
And that, my friends, is the conclusion of our GoldenEye 007. Again, there's one more level. It's called the Egypt level, and I think there's a lot of secrets. I think there's the golden gun that you can get. But yeah, if you are interested in checking that out, you'll have to check out and beat all the levels on 00 Agent. Oh, man. Okay. That was a lot of fun, folks. Last minute thoughts from you, Alamaxia. Let's go for it.
This game is one of my all-time favorites, and it's because I finally remember back in my childhood growing up, this was the game that I played with all my friends. This was the game that when in middle school, and I kind of really expanded my social circle, we just played the hell out of this. And I got 2 of my friends to come over and play through it with me just the past couple of weeks, and it was like we were in middle school again just playing this. It was so much fun to just...
Yeah, that's great.
You die, you hand off the controller. You die, you hand off the controller, and just seeing who can get through the level first. It was so much fun. I missed this game. I don't miss the controls, but it was so good.
You kind of got used to the controls. Like it's very poor by today's standards, but I think after a couple of levels, you kind of get warmed up and it starts to flow a little easier.
Once you trust the auto aim, and you learn that
auto aim is crucial.
You don't always aim directly at where an enemy is. When you're running around, you aim slightly off to the center, because when your gun kind of aims up off of where you're aiming, he's auto aiming something. Let me go ahead and shoot.
Yeah, especially in like the jungle level, you can't see anything, but it doesn't matter because Bond can, and his gun will just go boop, and you're like, "There's an enemy," click, 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 until it unlocks, and he's like, "Oh, now he's dead." Great. Yeah, this game was a childhood, game for me. Well, I mean, I was in what was it?
Junior high, probably ish.
High school, yeah, middle school,
Yeah.
and the multiplayer was the majority of what we did, which we didn't really talk about, but there's multiplayer for a ton of the levels. And, with the cheat codes and all the characters you can play as, which Alamaxia was telling me earlier is really just kind of an afterthought. They just threw one dev on it. And
yeah, it was one dev working
amazing.
in secrecy to I think he's pretty much
Wow.
working in secrecy and threw together the entire multiplayer in like a week.
Yeah. It's
Amazing. Amazing.
It
It
was
was
like
like
a month or something. It was unreal.
one of the first like big multiplayer, sit down FPS games before Halo.
Yeah. An
Just no
amazing
Oddjob.
game, and I'm yeah.
No Oddjob. No Oddjob.
I'm really glad that we got to cover this with you all there, and I saw a lot of people asking Lobos like, "Hey, are we gonna play Perfect Dark at some point?" And I think the answer is eventually. That's not gonna be the next game, but I do want to check out Perfect Dark at some point. So yeah, that's gonna wrap up this episode of the Saturday Morning Gaming Show. So we wanted to thank everyone for listening to us on the podcast. And I gotta admit, folks, the GoldenEye music was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, but throughout the whole episode, I just had the song stuck in my head, and I don't remember the lyrics. I'm really hoping that you two can help me out here. So I'm gonna try to hum a couple bars and see if you can pick up on it. Okay?
All right.
Goes a little something like this. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Heroes
in a half shell. Turtle power. There we go. That's the one right there. That's the next game. Could you imagine it? Super Mario Brothers on the Nintendo. We're going to be playing Super Mario Brothers, so... Well, no, I'm kidding.
X to doubt.
No, we're going to be playing the Ultra. It was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles made by Ultra, which is a weird like hybrid top-down and side-scrolling game where you can choose one of the 4 Ninja Turtles. And this is one of my bane of my childhood. I was never able to beat. I'm like, you know what? This is the chance to do so. So
Yeah.
If you think
gonna be
Dark Souls is
fun.
hard, just wait till you hit level 2.
to the damn level
Oh,
with the
no.
seaweed. Oh, that's going to be so much fun to talk about. The seaweed.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah. So check that out in July. Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun there. So let's see here. What do we have next here? Oh, ratings. Yeah. So, hey, if you are listening to us on a platform that allows you to rate the podcast and you enjoy your time on the Saturday Morning Gaming Show, we do encourage you to please drop us a rating there to get that feedback and to kind of show other people that you enjoy the show. So, and drop us a line if you do. If you have anything else you want to chat about, you can always drop us a line here. Just go on over to SaturdayMorningGamingShow.com. Got everything you need to know there. It's got all the current and past episodes, our contact info, any sort of Twitter or Patreon information you're interested in. It's going to be right there. And by the way, I don't know, folks, this is kind of the second time I changed the background up on you all, but just kind of take a moment here to really look at this amazing stuff we have. I think it's gorgeous. I hope you all liked
awesome.
it. It's cool. And I just want to give a special shout out to Miss Anthrope, one of my good friends. She streams art. She streams video game stuff. And she's a great person overall and does this amazing art for us. And we're going to continue to use some of her for some other projects we've got there. So I really want to thank her for working with us on making this fantastic. This is like my dream room. Every kid's dream room coming on right here. So, thank you, Miss Anthrope. One more special shout out we got for TechnoAxe for the music on this episode.
For Saturday Morning Gaming, I'm Alamaxia.
And I'm Lobos.
And I'm the Fat Wizard. We'll see you in July for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the NES.
Bye.